Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we talk about what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Now, my name is Rod McKenzie, and today I want to talk about the Russian MS-21 airliner, which has just illustrated the abject failure of Western sanctions on Russia and the success of Russia's import substitution strategy. Now, the MS-21 is in the category most popular as a type of airliner in the world. It's a single-aisle, medium-range aircraft, and it's become a symbol of Russia's ability to overcome the vast number of sanctions imposed on Russia by the US and its allies. Now, Rostec has confirmed that the project is not only now fully active, but it's on track to take on Boeing at some point in the future. Now, despite the significant pressures, Russia has successfully replaced approximately 80 Western systems and units that were previously used in the first all-Russian MS-21 scheduled to enter airline service as early as the middle of 2026. Now, this announcement was certainly not anticipated by many in the West because the MS-21 has become a symbol of the successfully overcoming of the imposition and of the pressure of sanctions. I mean, despite the departure of the foreign companies with whom the aircraft was initially developed, the project not only remained active, but it's set to take on Boeing in the future, says Rostec Executive Director Oleg Yurtvenko. Now, the MS-21 is a more popular type of medium-haul airliner, and the original aircraft completed its maiden flight back in May 2017. Now, the aircraft back then incorporated a large number of imported units and systems, but obviously due to sanctions, adjustments had to be made to the project, but they didn't freeze it. Now, in the spring of 2025, the prototype of the import substituting MS-21 became factory finishing tests. As part of the import substitution program, the composite wing and the engines were replaced, and a total of 80 different systems and units were being substituted. Now, before I continue, I'd like to make an appeal. If you like and enjoy my videos, you can help me fund my channel and the website by SCOBRICSinsight.com, and you can do this by making a small donation, which is done by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the video screen. Every donation does get a personal thank you from me, and I'm thanking you all now. Also, set the alert button so you get notified when I post a new video, and also keep the comments coming, as I love to read and respond to them and interact with you generally. Now, according to Yurtvenko, certification tests of the MS-21 are scheduled to begin in Zhukovsky near Moscow in the very near future. Now, the first deliveries of the aircraft to airlines are expected to begin in the spring or to summer of 2026. Now, back when the decision was made to begin designing the MS-21, which was more than 10 years ago, nobody could have actually anticipated the sanctions, or the whole 30,000 of them, that the Russian aviation and all sectors of Russian industry would face. At that time, collaboration with American, European and other manufacturers of aircraft units and components was actually commonplace. The production of aviation equipment is a complex technological process. The production of aircraft necessitates the use of thousands of components, making it challenging to set up in a single country. It just doesn't tend to happen. Civil aircraft are produced by only a few companies in the world. You've got Embraer in Brazil, Boeing, Airbus, just probably a few. Full cycle production in aircraft manufacturing is uncommon occurrence, and that was true even back in the Soviet Union. Now, it's a misconception and a myth that in the USSR they made aircraft completely themselves. In fact, many components and equipment were manufactured in allied countries of the Warsaw Pact. Now, back then, Poland, Czechoslovakia and other countries participated in the cooperation, according to Peter Borisov, who's a professor of the Institute of Transport Economics and Policy at the National Research University of Russia's Higher School of Economics. Furthermore, after the dissolution of the USSR, the aviation industry in Russia went into serious and significant decline. I mean, the financial resources were depleted to the point that the salaries for employees could not be met, and that hindered the production of aircraft. Then the economically disadvantaged segment of the Russian population ceased to fly as they'd previously done because there wasn't the aircraft, etc. Now, the company has decided to terminate its business relationships with its production facilities located in the other countries and the former Soviet republics. I mean, after 1991, they all went their separate ways. So Russia's aviation industry suffered significantly from that economic downturn in the 1990s that followed. And that led to many of the competencies that were lost, along with the highly skilled individuals and designers from that time. Then Western aircraft manufacturers went in and started leading the field, and Russia's aircraft industry has tried to make up for lost time. Now, engaging in this process in collaboration with them was thought to be a more efficient and cost-effective approach, but obviously hindsight's a great thing. I mean, we manufacture avionics in-house, have a long-standing history of producing airframes, and have a reputable institute of education for producing engines. However, in order to produce a competitive product, it's necessary to purchase the most advanced solutions available on the global market. Well, that was the theory anyway. So Russia then began to source these products from the international market. I mean, it hadn't previously manufactured within the Union Republic, so it seemed like the best thing to do. I mean, there was no motivation to produce this within the country because it was cheaper to actually just buy them in stock, right? Now, that all requires significant investment in time if you were going to produce in the country. Then, of course, the instances of confrontation with the West and these products became unavailable, so it was basically Russia was faced with an unprecedented task, and the solution to which has eluded the world since the Second World War was to produce an aircraft that is almost completely import substituted, and according to Borisov. I mean, in regarding to Boeing and Airbus, Russia's not yet in a position to compete with them on the international market, but it's certainly going to do it on the domestic one. I mean, there's a possibility that taking them on would only be after 2025, when the Russian airline fleets have been fully provided with the MS-21 aircraft. I mean, the primary objective of the Russian aircraft manufacturing sector is to cater for the sufficiently large domestic market, where Western concerns have declined to supply their airliners to Russia. Now, this whole project is going to take between 5 and 7 years. Now, during this period, obviously there's going to be some teething troubles that are likely to arise, which is obviously happens when developing any new product. Plus, it'll allow the enhancement of the production and cultivate cooperation with friendly or neutral countries when they are feasible. Now, the initial users normally identify and address any issues during the observations and operations, which will then be rectified according to Borisov. So, I mean, following the saturation of the domestic market with the MS-21, Russia will then enter the export market, particularly in friendly countries like Kazakhstan, Eurasian Economic Union, etc. I mean, remember, Russia's got a fleet of over 600 Boeing and Airbus aircraft, which are going to need to be replaced with domestic models. And only time will tell what the future holds for Boeing, not just in Russia, but all around the world. I mean, in recent years, we've seen a decline in the American company's performance. The company is currently facing significant financial challenges due to accidents involving its new products and allegations of non-compliance in production. I mean, Sam Mohawk, who's a former Boeing employee, he stated that the plant was in a very big mess and there's a serious shortage of parts due to problems with suppliers. I mean, Boeing has experienced a significant decline in its aircraft sales over the past 2 years. I mean, until 2023, both the aviation giants, Boeing and Airbus, were at similar levels, but in 2023, Boeing sold 207 fewer aircraft than Airbus. In 2024, the Americans experienced a further decline. Boeing fell behind Airbus by as many as 418 aircraft, according to figures. Now, the current gap between the two aviation giants is actually unparalleled since the Airbus came into existence. I mean, the US, Boeing, only delivered 348 commercial aircraft to airline, which was their worst result since 2005, obviously not taking into account the period of the pandemic. Airbus had its best result since 2019, with sales of 766 aircraft. So with regard to Airbus and Boeing, I believe their primary concern at the moment, though, is not the MS-21, but the Chinese aviation industry. Just like Russia, China is now focused on its domestic market and ensuring the supply of its own aircraft. Now, while direct sanctions imposed on the MS-21 indicate a certain apprehension on the part of the US regarding Russia's achievements in the domains of the aircraft manufacturing and composite wind technology, the measures do not fully capture the complexity of the situation. I mean, Russia has a strong competitive advantage over China in a number of areas, which creates significant opportunities for the export of Russia's components and its engines to China in the future. Now, this is because in terms of engines, Russia has advanced further than China, since Beijing doesn't actually produce engines for its aircraft, but it buys them in the West. And at the same time, China is making rapid progress in many other areas of its aircraft manufacturing. Now, the extent of this progress is currently not that clear, and that's due to the restricted nature of the information that China makes available. Now, it is important to note that China produces its C919 aircraft through international collaboration, with the aircraft incorporating numerous components from foreign suppliers. China doesn't have the task of import substitution that Russia had to face, says Borisov. But that obviously could change. I mean, in the light of the intensifying trade tensions and disputes between the United States and China, it's important to note that China is not ruling out the possibility of an economic blockade from the US in particular and the West joining in. Now, this could occur in a variety of areas, including the aviation industry. And of course, then they may have to look for Russia for help because they've actually achieved all of it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. If you want to help me out, please click on the thanks button at the bottom of the screen and I'll see you all again soon. Thanks for watching. See you soon.